Hi everyone, I'm Norm, and welcome to Shelf Control. It's another thrift store find. I found some good deals the past week or so, and there's quite a few. I think there might be 8 this time around, so I'm going to show all of them, and hopefully that means that there'll be a little bit of time before I put out another one of these. I wanted to show you what I found and get them in rotation, so I figured I should get this video done. This is a new setup that we're gonna try. Let me know what you think. I'm not centered because Lisa would be sitting over here. I'm over here. We got this table that I was a bumper pool table that I picked up. Not really a thrift store find recently. It was years ago I found this, and I took all the bumpers off, filled up the holes, put a neoprene mat down. Someone can sit here, someone can sit here. Maybe we can do a good video. Maybe the lighting will work a little bit better. Maybe if we do the lav mics, we might not have the problems with the audio that we did before. So, let me know. What do you think of this layout? It's kind of weird, me sitting over here off to the side instead of in the middle when it's just a solo thing. But just pretend Lisa's right there, and then you might have an idea of what this layout would look like. Anyways, so let's go ahead and get started. This first one, this is just kind of starting to become a joke now. Whenever I go to McKay's, it seems like I always find something related to Zombicide, Undead, or Alive. This one I've seen before at the Winston-Salem McKay's, and they usually have it priced around $40, which is more than I want to. It does have an additional abomination and some survivors, but from what I've heard reading about it, the heroes on the horses are kind of cool, but because of the powers that they have when they're on the horses, when they get off the horses, they're kind of weaker than the others. And so I never really wanted to pick this up for like $40, but the other day I was at the McKay's in Mebane, and they had it for $14.95. And so I figured, you know what, $15, I'll pick it up. I'll add it to the stack of figures that I'm eventually going to have to finish painting.
I'm not holding my breath.
And if this keeps up, there's only a couple pieces from the Kickstarter that I'm missing, and I'm getting great deals on it. So, yeah, I picked up another piece of the Zombicide, Undead, or Alive. $15. This one is one, I don't know how good of a deal it is, but it's a Tower of Babel. It's a Reiner Knizia title from a long time ago, 2005. I almost walked past it because it doesn't look interesting. It's got the old board game thing to it, Tower of Babel. I had actually left it on the shelf and went home, and then a couple days later, browsing on Board Game Geek, somehow Tower of Babel came up in another conversation about another game, and they said that this was an underappreciated gem. And I remember reading that and thinking, was that the Tower of Babel that I left on the shelf?
We have to go back!
So I went back, took it off the shelf. It's the Reiner Knizia, and they had the price of $16.95 on it. And I was like, if people say this is underappreciated gem from Knizia, I'm gonna give it a try and see what I think about it. So I'm glad that was still there days after I walked past. Maybe other people were like, Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
I don't care about that, but we'll see. We'll see if we think it's an underappreciated gem or not. I found a copy of Project L for $11.95. I didn't know it came in this small of a box. I remember it being Kickstarted. I think the Kickstarter box was a lot bigger with all the expansions and stuff in it. But this one was always one that I was kind of interested in, and the fact that it's in such a small box means that it can go into a camper pretty easily. And the engine building nature of it seems really cool. And for $12, it seemed like a real bargain to pick up. So we'll see how we like that. This one, a little bit less of a deal maybe. It's Beyond the Sun for $34.95 for $35. This is one that I've kind of been interested in. I've heard it described as Tech Tree, the game, because you're just following a tech tree along. If you've played Twilight Imperium or any of those games where you build tech and you have to build this tech before you build that tech, and part of the fun is trying to figure out what's the most optimal route to get the tech that you want. This takes that and makes it into a board game. There's a little bit of an area control off to the side. $35 didn't seem like it was a great deal for the game. It is cheaper than new, but I opened it up and it's got the leaders of the New Dawn expansion in it as well, which I've heard mixed reviews on. People seem to like a little bit. It's modular, so you can fit in what you want, and I think it adds a solo, which is cool. But people were complaining about the cost of the expansion for what you got. I think the expansion sells for about $35, and so I figured this is as good a way as any to get the base game and the expansion together for $35, and then I don't feel bad if most of the expansion just ends up not being used, and I basically didn't pay for it. So that's Beyond the Sun. Along the same lines as Tower of Babel and also Beyond the Sun, there's a little tie into both of those. There's Tyrants of the Underdark for $30. Again, I don't know if $30 is a great deal for this, but just like with Tower of Babel, before I went to McKay's, I was reading on Board Game Geek about Ethnos. We have a copy of that here somewhere. That Ethnos is getting a reprint, and they're actually going to retheme it, I think with like pandas or something like that. And a lot of people were like, I kind of like the fantasy theme better than that, and that Arcos Society or whatever where they redid it, but instead of having the map, they went with just tracks, victory point tracks that you'd move up in the different things. And although that's what the map basically was, it really wasn't an area control type game. People seem to like the original better, which is what we got. But in the talk of the Ethnos reprint, people started talking about Tyrants of the Underdark being a better deck building area control game. And again, this was one that I kind of like was walking by the shelf, and it didn't catch my eye with the purple writing and the little Dungeons and Dragons thing. There's plenty of Dungeons and Dragon games out there, but when I went back through, was looking at the shelf a second time, it's like, wait a minute, this says Tyrants of the Underdark. That's that game that they said was a better version of Ethnos, and I saw that it was $30, and I was like, I don't know what it normally goes for, but it's out of print. People were saying it's not likely that it's going to get a reprint because of the Dungeons and Dragons license. And so I was like, all right, $30, I'll pick it up. I looked around because there is an expansion for it. It just comes in a little box with a couple extra decks of cards for the market. And I was like, it'd be great if these were there. There's times where I've found the big box and the tiny box expansion off in the little tiny games section hanging on the wall or something like that. So I looked and I couldn't find it. And so I got this home and was going through, and it's missing a couple pieces. You're supposed to have these cardboard circles that you just put your promoted cards down on. That really doesn't affect the gameplay. You can just set them off to the side. It'd be nice to have those, but oh well. And it was missing, I think, 4 of the 1-point victory point tokens. But people online were saying that shouldn't be a problem either. And so I was kind of happy with that. As I was going through and counting everything, I was like, you know what, let me lift up the plastic insert and see if maybe those circles are hiding under the plastic insert. And they weren't. But the expansion for Tyrants of the Underdark was hiding under the plastic insert. And these had an issue where I think the card size is a little bit different and the color of the back is a little bit different. I've sleeved them. I put them in clear sleeves right now. I don't know. We'll see how big of an issue it is, whether or not it's something that subconsciously I'm looking at the top of my deck and I'm got an idea of what cards come in or something like that. And if that becomes an issue, I'll just use sleeves with the opaque back so you can't see. But I don't know what this goes for, but with the out of print base game, out of print expansions are pretty hard to come by, and we'll see if I find a value online. But I thought that was pretty awesome and more than made up for the fact that it was $30 for this base set. This one, I'm really happy to have found this. This is Sentient for $7.95. Again, I found this one at the Mebane. I've seen this at the Winston-Salem McKay's numerous times, and I want to say it's like $58 or something like that. Which I understand this game was like an expensive one when it came out. I think they had some weird issues with production that made the cost a lot more expensive. Somebody inexperienced working with the game producers or something like that, which made the game expensive to begin with. And then I don't know if this is an IP that you need to have a license for, but they were like, there's no next to zero chance that this was going to get reprinted. When I saw it for $60 at McKay's, I was like, that's understandable. I don't want to pay $60 for it. And I went to the one in Mebane, and I just happened to find this on the shelf. Pulled it out, being like, okay, let's disappoint me one more time, but it's $7.95. So I was really happy to find this. Is it good? Is it worth the $60 that it is? I don't know. We'll see. It's probably worth $8, but I'm really looking forward to trying that. That's one that I've been looking for because I kind of like the idea and the theme of it. Let's go with this one right now. I found Ramen Bones Second Tide for $29.95, and when I got this home and opened it up, it hadn't been punched out. The cellophane was around the cards and all of that, and so this is one that I've always been looking for. Got him. This is one that I've been looking for ever since Alex Radcliffe mentioned that he really liked Ramen Bones. And a few weeks prior, I'd gone to the store and seen that they had Ramen Bones, the first edition, for about the same price, I think, probably $30-some. But doing some research, people really preferred Second Tide to the first edition, and so I passed on the first edition one and went back a couple weeks later, and they still had the first edition one sitting on the shelf, but then they also had this one, the second Tide, and so $30. I picked it up. We'll see how my tastes align with Alex Radcliffe's and see if it's any good. I do notice, and mentioning this might make them disappear, but the McKay's in Winston has a few mercenary packs before Second Tide that I never really paid attention to until I got this, and then I went and looked, and they're priced at $14 a piece for a tiny box with some extra figures in it. Might be a good deal, but for a game that I haven't played yet, I didn't want to spend that much money just for some small expansions. We'll see, maybe if they get marked down, because they've been sitting on the shelf forever and until somebody sees this video and then decides they want to go get them. But you know, if it goes down closer to $7, I might pick it up. But you know, let me know, are those mercenary packs worth grabbing? Is 14 good? Should I grab them to get a little more replayability out of Ramen Bones? Let me know. And then the last one here is Warrior Knights for $19.95. This one I've seen on the shelf occasionally, and I've passed it. It looks really interesting. I've always been kind of interested in trying it, but I never got it because I've got a lot of these games that need to get played. I've got War of the Ring. I've got Middle Earth Quest, Cyclades. I've got so many that I've picked up. I don't know where they all are off the top of my head. Rune Wars. I got Rune Wars, if you've seen the video where I picked that up. So I had a lot of these kinds of games that need to get played, and so I've always just passed this one by. Everyone was saying, you know, this is an alright game, but you really need the expansion to make it better. And so I always just passed it and left it on the shelf so maybe somebody else could enjoy it. $20 seemed decent, but it didn't seem like a huge deal from what I found online. But one day I was walking around, and in the small games section where they have the tiny box games sitting, I walked by and I saw that they had the Warrior Knights Crown and Glory expansion, and they had it for $11.95. And we'll see. I'll put the price up on the screen. But at that day when I looked it up, this was going for a lot more than the base game was. I guess it's harder to find. And so when I saw this on the shelf, I was like, okay, well, let me grab that. Let me go see if Warrior Knights is still on the shelf, and it was. And so I picked them both up, $19.95 and $11.95 to have the base game and the expansion with it. That seems like a pretty good deal. I figured I couldn't pass that up and needed to add it to the collection with all these other games that need to get to the table. That's everything I have here. So this was a pretty good time. I wouldn't say that I found anything that was amazing, except maybe we'll see what the Warrior Knights and Warrior Knights expansion go for, and you know, maybe the Sentient or something like that. I don't know. Tyrants of the Underdark. What does that expansion go for? But yeah, these were all games that I was interested in and found at prices that I just couldn't pass up. So these are getting added to the list of games that we're going to have to play through and decide whether they're keepers or not. What's your experience with these games? I really like finding these older games like Tyrants of the Underdark, where people are like, you know, oh, it's an underappreciated gem, it's out of print and likely not to get a reprint, and I like being able to find those and add them to the collection. I think it's awesome that, you know, I got Zombicide, Undead or Alive, and then just slowly getting great deals on the expansion packs that just keep showing up, and I keep adding them. And so yeah, this was quite the haul. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching these. Every single person who clicks on these. It's awesome that you think that it's worth your time to watch and subscribe. Not a lot of people are interested in videos about these older games, but that's what we're interested in. If there's any of these that you want us to bump up to the top of a list to play, please let us know, and we'll take that into consideration and try to get a video out. And if you like what we're doing, going through our collection, playing these older games, and giving you our thoughts, whether it stays or goes, trying to cull this collection down a little bit, practice a little bit of shelf control. I don't know if picking up 8 games is the definition of shelf control, but if they're good games. So anyways, thanks for your time. I'll talk to you later.